what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. Ilya back again with a brand new early movie review, and this time we are discussing the new action thriller film by the name of Nobody, which will be coming to theaters come this Friday, March 26th. Now, I got the chance to check out the film early, and I'm gonna let you all know what I thought about this movie, and if you all should check it out in this spoiler-free review. But before we dive into it, as you can see on the screen now, make sure you all are following me on all my other social media accounts, which you can find those links in the description below. If you are new to the channel, welcome to the community. Consider subscribing to the channel, and while you all are at it, make sure you hit that notification bell. That way you can get the alert when I drop new content. It will mean the world to me if you all can like this early review, as well as share this video to all the action fans that you know out there. It helps out the channel a lot, but I also appreciate all the support. And in that comment section, let me know, with this being an early review, if you were looking forward to seeing this film, Nobody, and once you've gotten a chance to see it, let's talk about it. Let me know your pros, your cons. What were some of your favorite action moments? What did you think about Bob Odenkirk's performance? And if there were a sequel to this film, would you want to see that? Let's discuss that in the comments below. So this film, Nobody, comes from the director Ilya Naishuller, who's the director of Hardcore Henry, and we have the writer of this film being Derek Kolstad. Now, Derek is the same writer of all three John Wick films, as well as he's the executive producer and writer for The Falcon and The Winter Soldier. So I was really excited for this film, and here we are discussing it. Starting off with my positives, look, I'm going to say this about this film. This is a movie that knows, this is a perfect example of a movie that knows exactly what it is. It plays into all of the tropes that we've seen in every single action movie. For example, we have Bob Odenkirk, right, who's a great actor, who's a little bit later in his career, but he's still a phenomenal actor, no less. And we have, for example, think of Bob Odenkirk jump into this action film the same way you see a Keanu Reeves jump into action a little bit later in his career. Yes, we got The Matrix, Point Break, all that stuff, but a little bit later in his career, he's jumped into this high-octane action. My favorite actor of all time, Denzel Washington, jumped into the Equalizer franchise. You have Liam Neeson jump into Taken, where you have these well-known actors a little bit later in their career jump into action, being this older, retired, badass assassin or hitman that are suddenly brought back into their old lifestyle. And you see moments in this film where, again, playing to the tropes and having fun with it. How the hell are they still alive? How haven't they broken every single bone in their body? It plays into the tropes, and it delivers and having fun and knowing exactly what it is. And I appreciate that aspect about the film, which, let's talk about the action here. Never underestimate the incredible action in this film. This is the highlight of the movie besides Bob Odenkirk, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But this action in this film manages to up the ante from the incredible action set piece to another incredible action set piece, and kind of highlighting those moments without giving too many spoilers away here in regards to where these moments take place in the film. My personal favorite, and this has been in the advertising, it's the bus sequence. Now, I'll say this about the bus scene. It is one of the best action hand-to-hand combat fights since probably John Wick 3, and the brutal nature of the hand-to-hand combat fight in this bus sequence rivals some of the brutality in the Raid films, which is not, I'm not saying this film is the Raid films, which the Raid movies are like my favorite action movies in the last 20 years, but the brutal nature of what goes on in this scene is incredible. I think of a sequence that takes place in Hutch's house, which, let's just say, it reminded me a little bit of Batman in regards to how he's taking out these people left and right in the shadows. There's an awesome car chase sequence in this movie. There is a scene that takes place in a warehouse, and I'll describe the warehouse scene like this. If the horror films Saw were action, and if the family-friendly Home Alone film was an action film, and they had a baby, it will be Nobody. It's incredible. I can't speak highly enough of the insane amount of incredible action set pieces that are in this film. Which, switching gears to, speaking of incredible, let's talk about Bob Odenkirk, who's the lead of this movie, who plays our main character, Hutch. Now, Hutch is a man who in his past life was an auditor, and short story long, let's just say that is the last person you want to see knocking on your door, and that's his past life, right? He is now a married man. He has 2 kids. He lives in the suburbs, and we see this kind of lifestyle very early on in this film that it's kind of the normalcy of Hutch's life. It's kind of run its course, and he wants to kind of dip his toe back into his past life as Hutch, and he just wants to get back into killing people. And Bob Odenkirk, he is literally perfect in this role. He does everything that's asked for him. He hits every beat, from being asked to be this suburban dad, to being this average Joe, to being an absolute killing machine. He is fantastic in this movie. I definitely want to highlight some of the supporting characters, like, for example, Connie Nielsen, who is Becca, Hutch's wife. I thought she added a nice layer to the film. You have Riza, who is a character that's very close to Hutch. I think he has a really good highlighted moment in that warehouse scene I was talking about a little bit earlier, as well as Christopher Lloyd, Doc himself from the Back to the Future franchise. He has an appearance in this movie, very similar to Riza. He has a very close connection to Hutch, and he has a really interesting moment in this film. So I thought those characters really stood out to me. And switching gears a little bit into focusing a little bit about what I liked about the story. Now, I had mentioned that this is written by the same writer of John Wick, which one of the things I really enjoyed about this film was very similar to John Wick. It's the world building, right? It's the rules that are established in this world. It's the rules around family. It's the underground mob situation. It's the interesting, colorful characters, like, for example, a black Russian. We have a character by the name of the Barber. We have the idea of the Obshak, and we even have a pretty interesting villain in a certain sense. And speaking of the villain in this film, what I really liked is the parallels between Hutch, who's the hero of the film, but some would say probably anti-hero, and comparing that to our villain, I believe his name was Julian. They have two completely different lifestyles. You know, we have the suburban guy that isn't happy with his life, he wants to go back to his auditor life, and we have this Russian mob boss who has this huge amount of resources at his disposal, but he's not happy with his lifestyle. So I really kind of like that parallel that we get with our two characters. Some other things I definitely wanted to highlight in my positives: the music is perfect. The soundtrack of this movie is incredible. I found the pacing to be great. It's an hour and a half and it just flies by. The director of this film really handles the action really well. I felt that the writing was very cleverly done when it came to explaining exposition. It wasn't boring exposition. The way that they creatively gave us Hutch's life was really well executed. And then in regards to appreciating the subtext of this film, this isn't an obvious kind of theme in the movie, but it's something I paid attention to. We're dealing with an addict. Hutch is an addict, and I say that because he's been clean from his auditor lifestyle for many, many years, and it just takes one bad decision to bring him back into his old life, and you can look at that as he's relapsing. He's been clean for so long. Something happens very early on in the film that kind of brings him back to that old lifestyle, and he's just waiting for something to happen, and it happens, and he just goes right back into that life. So again, I like how this story kind of focuses on addiction. It's not him addiction to drugs or addiction to alcohol, but his addiction to his old life, which he's pretty good at killing people. So I really kind of love that subtext in the film. Going into some of my criticisms with the movie, I mentioned that you have the writer of the John Wick movies, and I'll say this: I felt like this was a John Wick 1 2.0. It has its tropes, it plays to that, but at the same time, those tropes that we've seen in John Wick films, it bleeds into this film and it makes it very predictable. It makes it kind of unoriginal, from the Russian mob to the similarities of the villain, who I found the villain to be an interesting character, but it kind of lacked depth and he was very one-dimensional. So there are very, very, very similar John Wick vibes in this film, which again kind of takes away the originality of this particular movie. I had mentioned Connie Nielsen as, Becca, the wife of the film, and I like what the family represents in the movie in regards to the new life that Hutch is trying to maintain every single day, but the execution of the family in regards to the emotional resonance, I never felt that emotional connection. I mentioned John Wick earlier, and spoiler alert for John Wick, he loses his wife, right? And she gives him a dog, and the dog is taken away from him, and that is his emotional connection to the story. Like, I felt bad for John Wick, and I understand why he's going through this narrative, what his purpose is in regards to what he's lost and trying to get that back in regards to going back to his lifestyle, right? In this film, the family, I never just felt that connection. I never felt like I wanted Hutch to go back to being a family man. I much preferred Hutch going back to his old lifestyle. So for me, the emotional resonance didn't work for me in this film. Going into, again, I appreciate the film knowing what it is, playing to its tropes, but at the same time, I found like the structuring of the action was great. The exposition, the way they explained the exposition was great. The world building was there, but the dialogue was a little bit lacking. It was a little bit generic. It was a little bit bland at times, where in moments where we have these creative action set pieces, the dialogue just didn't match the creative set piece for me personally. So the dialogue was a little bit in the weaker department for me in regards to the writing of the film. So that's really it. Those are my cons. Those are my nitpicks, if you want to call it that. Before I give you all my overall thoughts on my score of this film, Nobody, make sure to like the video, share the video to all the action fans you know out there, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell. That way you don't miss any of my other early reviews that I have on this channel. With that being said, let me share with you all my overall thoughts and my score for the film, Nobody. So overall, this film has everything you want in an action movie, from an incredible car chase, great gun fu, incredible fight choreography, impressive high body count. It even has a slow motion walking away from an explosion scene. The world building is there and it makes you want to explore more. Hutch as this wannabe suburban dad slash anti-hero with an addiction to kill was played perfectly by Bob Odenkirk. Don't underestimate how much fun you're going to have with this film, and don't be surprised if it gets the John Wick treatment, and we might see more films in this Nobody franchise. With that being said, I'm going to give this film, Nobody, a solid 4 out of 5. It's not a perfect film, but it plays perfectly into what this movie's trying to do. It plays to the tropes. It has a great anti-hero, has incredible action, and I had a good time with it, and that's why I give it a 4 out of 5. Now, this film will be coming to theaters only March 26th. Now, if you are in an area where there's a movie theater open, you feel safe going to the theater, I recommend you all give it a watch. And when you do, let me know what you all thought of it in the comments below. Once you've seen this film, Nobody, let me know your favorite character, your favorite action moment, some of your criticisms, but also, do you want to see more from this Nobody franchise? Let's talk about it in the comments. As always, make sure to like the video, share the video, talk in the comments about the film, as well as subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. That way you don't miss any of my other early movie and TV reviews. With that being said, hope you all enjoyed this review. Hope you're staying safe. We'll see you on the next video.